So welcome to Sit Down with Shira, where we talk about sovereignty, raw power, and truth. Today on today's episode, we're going to be talking about what is sovereignty. So I like to think of sovereignty. As being a separate entity that is fully self-led and self-fed. And specifically when we're talking about women being sovereign, a woman has to assume her power. Let's talk about the components of sovereignty. The first one is self-led, right? Taking control of your thoughts, minds, opinions, actions to produce a desired outcome and or result. So that looks like taking accountability for every aspect of your life. Anything that is happening to you or that is a part of your current reality, you take accountability for it. And not only do you take accountability, you take ownership for it. What does that look like? If I am making $100,000 a year, that is because of my choice. My actions have led me to that. If I'm not making $200,000 a year and that's how much I want to be making, it is my responsibility to take myself from that $100,000 a year that I'm currently making to $200,000 a year, right? It no longer can a person have the excuses that, oh, this person did this to me, or oh, my parents didn't give this to me, or oh, my traumas are holding me back. No, you are holding you back. And this is why self-leadership is the foundation of sovereignty, because you take accountability and ownership of every aspect of your life. No stone goes unturned. Nothing that happens to you is by accident or because you didn't have free will. Sovereign individuals wield their free will to create their reality and their desired outcome. So self-leadership is, the foundation of sovereignty. And it's honestly, I think, one of the hardest of the three to master, because, when you don't have your desired life, you have to look within. You have to look to your shadow side, your dark side, the parts about yourself that you don't like that are hindering you, and figure out how to alchemize them and turn them into things that can actually benefit you. And that can be really difficult because most human beings don't want to face the truth, and more importantly, they don't want to face themselves, because facing yourself will require you to take ownership for your poor decisions, things about yourself that you don't like, the relationships that you have that have expired, that you're still in, things like that. So it's very difficult. But if you want to be sovereign, you're going to have to confront every aspect of yourself. There's no getting out of it. There's no amount of therapy, traditional talk therapy, that you can do that's going to help you get around confronting yourself. So self-leadership is the first component. The second component is self-fed. I love self-fed because it is all about nourishment. How do you sustain yourself? If everything got taken away from you today and you were placed in a jungle on a remote island, how would you sustain yourself? Not only to take care of your basic needs. When we think about basic needs, I think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs: your food, your shelter, and your water. How are you going to not only provide for yourself in those ways, but also get yourself to a position where you're not just taking care of your basic needs, you're thriving. So once you're out of survival mode, how do you continue to feed yourself, both literally and metaphorically, to produce your desired reality and your desired outcome? That is an incredibly big task, right? Some people call that work finding your purpose. Like, why are you here? What gifts did the universe, God, if you believe in God, give you so that you can be your highest self? And how do you use that gift to produce a desired reality? Now, for me, my biggest gift is the gift of gab, right? Verbal communication. That's why I'm doing this podcast. That's why I created Sit Down with Shira, My job is to inspire women like you who are watching this podcast to become the best versions of yourself by taking action. And so I use my gift of gab to move others. That is what I'm here to do. That is one of my purposes here on earth. And I use that gift to help other women, to compel folks, to move folks to action. And that this is what sustains me. Not only physically, but mentally, emotionally. This is why I am here. So everybody's gifts are different, right? Your gift may not be the gift of gab, the gift of verbal communication, but it is your responsibility to do the inner soul work to find out what your gift is. And some people may have multiple gifts. You will have to figure out how those gifts can work together to produce your desired reality and outcome. Now, the third and final component of sovereignty is separate. Now, as human beings, we are an interdependent species. So that means that we live together, we live in community, we must work together. We are not an isolated species, right? But part of being sovereign, you do have to be separated for periods of time. And you need to be separated because you need to become your own authority. And the only way you can become your own authority is if you listen to yourself, so that you can receive those higher downloads, so that you can hear and think for yourself clearly. A lot of times when we live in community with others, the groupthink influences our thinking, our actions, our way of life, and you can never be sovereign if you are a part of groupthink, right? If you are influenced by others' opinions, thoughts, actions, you cannot be sovereign, because by definition, sovereignty is the act of being, the state of being separate, right? And as women, being a sovereign being, you have to be your own authority. What your grandma, mom, sister, friends, teachers, professors say cannot and should not influence your thoughts and actions and how you exist and move in this world. And that's very difficult for women, especially because we thrive in community with each other, right? Women thrive in egalitarian spaces where we work together in community, to keep community, to raise communities, to build communities. But when you are a sovereign woman, you have to separate yourself from the community so that you can become your own authority. And so these are the three foundational components of sovereignty: self-led, self-fed, and separate. They are three components that one must master in order to become a sovereign individual. And the journey is absolutely worth it. It is incredibly difficult. I believe that most don't accomplish sovereignty because they allow outside influences, our partners, who having children, a career that we may or may not love, all these external influences we allow, right? We allow them to stop us from being our highest self. And for me, as a sovereign woman, I have had to do all these things, become self-led, self-fed, and separate from my community so that I can become my own inner authority. And while it has been difficult, it has been the most rewarding experience. I'm still learning so much. To be honest, the process is very brutal. It is isolating. And that's a part of the separation that comes when you leave your community, or when, you separate yourself from your family and your friends. A lot of times that's for the best. If it's not helping you, or in this case me, on my path to sovereignty. But it's incredibly difficult, right? When you have to think for yourself and not depend on the opinion of another person, right? And then we all know that we love to call people and say, hey, can I get your opinion on this? But what happens when it's just you and yourself and your mirror, and you have to ask yourself, what do you think? What are you going to do? You know, becoming a free thinker is no easy feat, but it's required to live a fulfilling life and to meet your highest self. Because the reality is that if you were born here on this earth, you have every single thing that you need within you to live a fulfilling, meaningful life. And, you know, the forces around us don't preach that, they don't teach that. It actually teaches the opposite. It encourages us women to never fully develop, to stay infantilized, to stay, you know, in a childlike or adolescent mindset, because there are a lot of protections for women. But that really doesn't benefit you in the long run if you never become your highest self, if you never achieve what you're supposed to achieve here on this earth, if you never fulfill your life's purpose. It's been a waste. And that's my opinion. And so I won't lie to you and say that sovereignty is this easy thing that's, you know, it's a walk in the park. No, it's incredibly difficult. I think most people won't make it because it's so difficult. And so if you are willing to take this journey, welcome. I'm so happy that you are here. Sit Down with Shira is going to be a podcast where we talk about sovereignty, soft power, and truth. This is a podcast for women by a woman. I love women. I love the fact that the matriarchy is rising. I love the fact that Mother Earth is rising. And I know that I am called to rise, right? When they say, you know, the divine is coming for her daughters, or mother is coming for her daughters, she has come for me. And I am so proud to stand and do this work and help women like you who are watching become the highest versions of yourself. Patriarchy, white supremacy, capitalism, whatever external forces you want to name that we live under don't want to see us do this work. And as a result, that's exactly why we need to be doing it, because this work is going to set us free, not just mentally, emotionally, physically, but spiritually, right? If your mind is free, you can do anything, right? There is literally nothing off limits to us as beings, especially as women, as feminine beings. Femininity is abundant. We can do anything. We can literally manifest out of thin air, right? We are free flowing. We magnetize. We can draw things to us without saying a word. We can, you know, create community. We set the tone with just our presence. Those things are invaluable, and we have to learn how to use these gifts, right, that were given to us by Mother Nature to our advantage. We have to use these things to create the desired outcomes that we want, to create the reality that we want, and to live abundant, meaningful, purposeful lives. And so that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to use my gifts that I was given by Mother Nature to live an abundant life, to encourage you to live an abundant life, to live and walk and talk through sovereignty, and to assume my power. So if you are interested in taking this journey with me, please subscribe, comment what you learned, and I hope that you will join me on this journey of sovereignty.